everyone, and welcome to another episode of Not Now Mom, I'm Gaming. My name is Kay, and on this episode we'll be talking about the demo for Cosmic Coop, and I'm going to try really hard not to call it Cosmic Poop instead. Since it's a newer demo release that I'm reviewing, there's not too many stats on it to go by, but it does have an achievement, interestingly enough, and that's to make it to the end of day 7, meaning go to sleep on the 7th day. Honestly, I was just looking for a cozy game to play that was recent, and this one showed up. It's been a while since I played a cute farming game that had critters in it. I think Fae Farm was the last one I played, and it's been a few months back since I last booted it up. The blurb for Cosmic Coop states this: after crash landing on a mysterious planet, you waken to find yourself far from home and surrounded by vibrant, strange wildlife. With nothing but a rickety farmhouse and a handful of clues, it's up to you to rebuild, explore, and discover the secrets of this cosmic world. Befriend the quirky inhabitants, uncover the truth behind your arrival, and help the critterlings thrive as you create a new life among the stars. I'll be honest, I didn't make it far into the first day because I already couldn't do one of the major things you're supposed to do on a farm, and there really wasn't much of a point in continuing. Maybe to talk to townsfolk, but that would be it. It's really frustrating when something like this happens in demos, because on one hand, you can hand out excuses saying it's buggy because it's a demo, but on the other hand, they need to be play tested for bugs, so people will actually want to play the full release. This stuff makes me not want to play demos in the first place. And I'm not ranting on this game specifically, because I played numerous demos that were just bad. Let's step away from the negative and get into the review though. Alright, the title screen is looking cute. It seems like sort of a large farm area with trees and bushes and such with some critters wandering around. We've got a little ram using its horns to roll itself around. Not sure how intuitive that is, but hey, it's working out for them. Looks like there's also a blue dodo bird. Whoever said they're extinct are liars. There's a possible cat scratching post that's huge, and also a giant mushroom that reminds me of the mushrooms I used to battle in Maple Story. Basically, the title screen just takes us around this location. I want to say it's a farmland, but I'm not entirely sure at this point. Going into the settings was a bit weird because I'm using an Xbox controller, and instead of pressing A to interact, I have to press X. I don't know why, but that's going to take some getting used to if it's like that throughout this entire game. I mean, you can use mouse and keyboard, I'm pretty sure. I just like using a controller more often than not. Within the settings, there are 3 icons at the top that seem to be for visual, soundtrack, and controls. You can't right button or right trigger your way through them. You actually have to make sure you're highlighting one of the icons and interact with it to switch. In the display, there's a hide on run option, and I don't understand what it means, so I kept it to off. In the soundtrack, everything was on 30% for some reason, so the title screen basically didn't have any music playing for me, it was so low. The only reason I knew there was music is because it was showing it on my Streamlabs OBS screen. And then the keybinds section where you can fiddle around with stuff. I'm not going to mess with anything, seeing as this is a demo. I don't know what the heck this creature is that we're getting a photobomb of about the new game option. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be us or something else within the game. I'm sure we'll find out though. Maybe. Okay, after starting a new game, it's confirmed that the creature is us, and we can change our hair as well as our cheeks. Not those cheeks, weirdos. It's not that kind of game. I went with a kind of dollop of whipped cream on top hairdo and teal blush marks. Even though they're kind of hard to see with the natural shading, I just happen to like teal. You do have the option of skipping tutorial, but I'm not because it's my first time playing and I have no clue what I'm getting into. Yay for randomly getting a game without actually looking at the blurb and what it's about and just going by the graphics. Upon starting the game, our character Chibi is contacting Noodle HQ.
Noodle HQ, come in. This is Chibi aboard the Galactic Guppy. I found a possibly perfect planet drifting in the Donut Drift. Could be the cozy cosmic corner we've been craving.
I hope you enjoy the voice I made for that character, because I will be forgetting it in the next 5 seconds. Apparently, we're searching for a planet that's tucked away into a cozy corner of the world. Well, I mean, if this is supposed to be an Earth representation, abort, because this is not a cozy planet. But I don't think it's Earth, so they should be in the clear. When a character speaks, they have a portrait to the left side of the text box, and the text box itself is pretty big, though not too intrusive, and the font... Well, the large text box allows the font to be a bit larger than most games, I think, but it's pixelated font as well. Kind of for a goofy, characterized speech. I didn't have much of a problem with it, but taking artistic liberties with fonts like this is a little risky, I'd say, when there's not a lot of options for font variations. Just my take on it. Little HQ responds with, Chibi, you galactic genius. A new planet? Tell me, is it sprinkled with stardust? Or are we talking a plain glaze situation here? I'm not doing that voice no more. I'm not doing any voices no more. I'm just gonna say what they say. I'm usually gonna have to deal with it. I'm not sure why they're hooked on the food references, but it's kind of funny. Little HQ is also represented by a character that sort of looks like BMO from Adventure Time. A walkie-talkie of sorts. The next scene has some animation to it, with Chibi taking some gulps out of a galactic cup that really makes me want some Starbucks right about now. Plus there are stars and plus signs outside the window passing by to make it look like our ship is moving. The planet happens to look like it's filled with jellied perfection, and I'm not sure if I'd want to be on a planet that would ooze jelly out of its center. There's also a chat bubble where I guess HQ is talking to us from, but I don't know what the word says since it looks like it's some kind of code or alternate language. According to Noodle HQ, jelly-filled planets are great for morale. Even more interesting, though, is the fact that we can call in the donut detective at what they call warp cinnamon roll speed. I didn't even read donut detective right the first time. I'm still thinking of duck detective. There's some more goofy conversations about the navigation system and past woes of Space OS updates, and then the worst thing possible happens. We spill our space latte. I remember I'd accidentally knocked over my cup of hot chocolate and was freaking out because some of it got into the tower. It actually ended up staining outer parts of some of the components, but otherwise didn't do any harm. Thank goodness. But I like that this scene looks like an outright emergency with zaps of electricity and exclamatory punctuation marks. We end up crash landing near 4 cute townsfolk, a monkey, chicken, fox, and gator. What a combo. Since nobody seems to speak our language, we use our tongue twister 3000 to translate our speech for them. When Miku the monkey comments on our landing, we have a couple options on how to respond. I don't think any of the choices you make matter in this game within conversations, so I'd say just go with whatever you're feeling. I went with nailed it, totally planned, because I'm smooth like that. Benna the fox's speaking portrait looks absolutely nothing like how she is in the full image. And it always sounds like she's being coy and flirtatious with me, sometimes in a scary way. Well, well, a sky-fallen traveler, and here I thought today would be boring. So, tell me, are all space explorers as tiny, or are you just the fun-sized edition? Fun-sized? What's she even mean by saying that? That I'm going to be a fun toy for her to play with around here? Even Basil the chef is a foodie with his words. I mean, I get he's a chef, but still. This planet doesn't look like food, so why is everyone so daggone hungry? Basil states, if you need a place to lay your head, or whatever that is atop your shoulders, and I am over here thinking, shoulders? What shoulders? That's like mentioning someone's booty when their pants are dragging low to them having nothing to cling on to. I don't have shoulders. I'm a legitimate marshmallow. Miko says, our wise, mighty, absolutely not bossy overlord, who is totally as great as he says, has declared that all villagers must do their part. I understand if you're going to live somewhere, you should work to earn your keep, but to outright declare that you must be productive in one way or another makes me think this overlord rules with a clenched fist and appetite for sugarcoating. There. I made my own foodie joke. Okay, now Miko says that the overlord insists on only the best meals. That makes me think everyone does their part in this village to make them food. due to ruling using up so much energy. I feel like he's a George from Seinfeld type of person, but at least George had his bed installed under his desk, so he could at least do some work between naps. This Overlord, I don't know, kind of sounds also like Orochimon from Digimon, when all the Digimon were doing nothing but working to feed him. It's been a while since I saw the episode, but all this talk here is giving me flashbacks. I kind of wonder what would happen to us if we didn't help keep the Overlord happy. Is he going to eat us? On the options for dialogue choice, I went with as long as I don't have to spoon feed him, as a sort of joke. And it was met with the response that the Overlord feeds himself, but also talks about how grand he is while eating. Great. Can't wait to meet him. We don't in the demo here, at least I didn't. I don't know there's a possibility of meeting them due to my early stop. It's at this moment I don't know what to think of Finna, because she says these lines. Well, well, look at you. One crash landing, a royal decree, and a new job all in one day. Quite the overachiever, aren't we? But don't worry, sweetheart. We'll ease you in nice and slow. After all, we wouldn't want you burning out before you've had a chance to really impress us. I think it's just her we have to impress. I don't think the others really care and are just happy that I'm here and can help make a difference in town. Not to mention, this is the second time she's given us an endearment. The first one being honey. I let that one slide because old people say that to grandkids in a patronizing way. But sweetheart, girl, we just met. I won't do her voice anymore, but understand that seems to be the voice for her with how she speaks to us. Then again, maybe I'm just projecting all the other females from other certain games I played, and now I don't know how people normally communicate. We're about to enter the tutorial section of the game, but just know Finna has a new pet name for us. Stardust. Yay. Also, the planet we're on is called Criteria. And in the next scene, we're in our home speaking with her. I love Finna's tail swishes on the screen. It's actually satisfying to watch and quite distracting, seeing as we have no features for that kind of movement. I do like the cozy feel of the room though. There's not a lot in it, but it's got your basics, a fireplace, bed, and bedside table. She states this place has been empty for a while since the terrible incident. At least terrible incident isn't capitalized, signifying some big ordeal. But it would be nice to know what this terrible incident was. If someone died here or something and it just happens to be a sturdy building while also haunted. I mean, I had to ask once the choice popped up. Her reply is, every home has a story. It just makes things more interesting. Cool. Way to give the most fake answer you could think of, Finna, knowing you're still kind of telling the truth. She also tells us the bed is already made and that a ghost must have gotten it ready for us. Wow, did I get it right? Is it actually haunted? Also, why wouldn't the bed be made? If nobody's been living here, would you guys just have left the bed a mess and probably still have the fireplace lit? If you're too lazy to make the bed, you're probably also too lazy to put out the fire before it burns the place down. I go ahead and state that I guess I won't be sleeping tonight. Can we get another house? Maybe another person show us around and tell us what we'll be doing? When she leaves, that is actually the sassiest walk she could muster. Also, now that we're not chatting with her, we can get more of a look at our place of residence. BMO is on a desk and it looks like there's a note beside it, but we can't interact, so let's take it outside. Note that if you get right up on Finna, the icon for interaction vibrates to somewhat of a blur. I don't think that's supposed to happen. And for some reason it says X, but I had to press A to interact with her. Is this game going to be switching keybinds on me constantly? Because that's annoying. If you're using a keybind for something, stay with it. After saying she'll teach us everything for starters, she states, already regretting crash landing here? Too bad, you're in it now. Why is Finna so merciless? And why were we stuck with her? This is where you can skip the tutorial, but we're ignoring that to hear Finna mention the previous owner mysteriously disappearing. Just say he died. The last owner died and is now haunting the house that I'm forced to live in, as well as take care of the farm they left behind. When she gives us an axe, it's a little weird that an axe is used for clearing weeds. Typically in a farming game, that's a scythe's job. Oh, and when we get an item, we hold it up over our head and light shines out around it. I love it. Makes you feel like you pulled the sword out of the stone. I'm gonna make Finna proud of me, but also my survival skills are atrocious. So if I had a limb to cut off, I'd be worried about doing it. But we're kind of like a marshmallow with feet. Our first quest is a new home, and the only basics it's teaching us is to chop wood, but it's fine. We do get a lot of awards, and I like how they've made it look. Icons of objects you get in a bordered box. Maybe the only thing I don't like is the color usage of the quest name and rewards title. Also, it looks like there's a stopwatch in the bottom left corner, so I don't know what the deal is with that. Okay, I pressed a button I shouldn't have because I was trying to figure out if I could mouse over the icons shown to see what they are, even though I know it's obvious. But now I can't accept the quest at all, and the game's basically frozen on the screen. I had to go into Steam and manually stop the game. That's our first game-breaking bug, and we didn't even get through the tutorial. Back in the game, and the interaction icon for Finna does still vibrate, so maybe she's just excited to talk to us. But it turns out to interact with something you press X, but to use an action you press A. I'm not really sure why they chose to go two different keybinds there, unless they were worried people would accidentally talk to someone instead of doing farm work or vice versa, making it a struggle to get things done. Could be, but the farm is pretty huge, so it seems an unlikely scenario. Alright, the game lies. Actions are also X and not A. It's giving you the wrong information on the screen. Also, it's not very intuitive on hovering over an object like a tree when using the controller. The area you hover over is sort of all over the place, which means it might be better to use a mouse and keyboard unless you like getting frustrated really easily by your character not interacting with something right in front of them. As I'm going around chopping trees, I don't see a stamina bar on my person. Does that mean you can just farm as much as you want in a given day? Is there a time limit to how many in-game hours you can be awake? Most farming games have you going to bed at a set time. Pressing X next to Finna has you trying to chop her up. You'll want to press A to speak with her. Or just, put the axe away, you psycho. Actually, after reading what she said, maybe she's the psycho. She is the one that gave us the axe in the first place. Alright, we've got our next tool, and what I assumed were marshmallows out on the field are rocks. I'm only asking because they have arrows above them like I'm supposed to break them apart. Small rocks confirmed, though they do not look like such. Oh yeah, when trying to switch to another item on my toolbar, the controller is super sensitive and kind of flails all over the place. This game's going to be rough going on a controller, isn't it? When we turn the quest in, she says, with the right tools, you can build incredible things. Structures, upgrades, maybe even something dangerous. Kidding, mostly. You know she isn't kidding. Is she going to make me craft a doghouse that I'll have to live in because the ghost actually has full rights on the house and doesn't want me sleeping in their bed? I wouldn't put it past her at this point. Color me impressed. Not a doghouse, but a forge. Plus we get a nudge that we'll need to actually level up to start earning new recipes. I'm sure there might be some recipes we can buy when we get enough money, and that's not something she's saying. But it is a demo, and I don't know how far the game will take this whole farming thing. I will say, the menu is a lot. There's a bunch of tabs on the side, but I know what we're looking at is what we currently need. For some reason you can't show the name of the crafted item on controller, but mousing over it brings up the forge name. A little annoying not knowing what you're looking at while on a controller. And then with the forge selected, the ingredients are on the right side. Nope! Controller is not the way to go with this game. There's no way to actually click the craft button on a controller because it won't even let you over there to hover over it. That means your best bet, especially with a demo, is to use a mouse and keyboard, which I now had to switch to, begrudgingly. Apparently Finna isn't the only thing to get excited, it's also the objects you're placing down on your farm. The forge is a jittery mess because it doesn't know where it wants to go. You and me both, Forge. Who playtested this game? Did anyone? Going up to Finna after placing down the forge, it shows E until I click on her. Then the icon goes to X for controller. What in the world? She says, let's see, snack wrappers, a very old candy. Oh, that was definitely not candy. I want to ask, but I also don't. Okay, so it doesn't seem like we're going to go out capturing creatures for our farm, or even breeding them, possibly not even buying any. Instead, they come to our farm based on what decorations we have. I like that idea. However, if we want a peaceful farm, we have to choose creatures that get along with one another. Well, that's unfortunate. Does that mean you can't place certain things on different sides of the farm and have some semblance of peace? Can you just not have two creatures that dislike one another on the farm at all and have to choose which ones you like more? I love the layout of the forage screen. The hanging hammer as well as the anvil picking out of the left side. Plus, it's a lot easier to know what to do rather than the main menu of crafting and everything else this game will have to offer. It feels a little like Fate Farm when the honeycomb is being crafted. Well, I don't particularly like bees, so we'll set this bad boy at the bottom edge of our farm. I'm not sure if the placement will actually matter or if the creatures are just going to have free roam over your entire farm as long as the decorations are there. Some creature popped up out of the ground and I'm wondering why it looks like a pest that we have to exterminate. I get that a creature's needs will have to be met by specific decorations, but that's interesting to know that they also would need to thrive in a specific environment. I mean, that does make sense, but it's not something you would think of out on a farm. Maybe in terrariums, but outside the environment can be volatile depending on the weather. According to her, it does seem like they'd need terrariums, but outside. The next thing we're building is a squiggle coop, and it has the same requirements as the forge. I kind of would have liked some slight difference here. Also, that jittery movement is really annoying, in case you didn't know. Alright, so if a creature isn't happy about its surroundings, they lose their color. That's what I'm getting from what she's saying to us. And I know I'm being kind of vague here with not giving the lines that she's saying, but it's just because I have gameplay on the screen. If you're hearing the audio of this podcast only, I apologize. We get a hoe next and need to hoe 10 spaces on the farm. I don't know why they chose 10 because that doesn't exactly make the best layout, or at least not as good as a 3x3 plot. Seeds, then a watering can comes next. I love how we sling the watering can to water the seeds, even though we'd have to be wasting so much water by doing it that way. And for our reward, we get some golden cosmic poops. I held back on making a poop comment, I really did, but I guess fertilization is a thing, so I shouldn't have been surprised. I think I'm more surprised by the fact that it's gold and we're holding it with our bare hands. So yeah, just grab your golden poop and squeeze the nutrients out onto your crops. Oh, that's so gross to think about. It's interesting that they popped up right after being fertilized. I thought they'd yield a higher harvest or grow faster, but not this fast. The shipping bin menu is a little odd. The left side shows information on the item you're hovering over, but I don't know what the accessory portion means. Also, there's the items in your inventory on the top right, but I don't know what the bottom separate section is for, if we're placing the carrots into the top slot to sell instead of the lower area. It also looks like there's items you can trash by putting them into the slot on the far right. There was a transition screen and it sounded like Finna beat us into unconsciousness so we'd wake up the next day in bed. On the right side of our house, outside, is a signpost that allows us to sort of change how our house looks if we want. Which is cool that we don't actually have to work toward that right now. Maybe later we will, because the options are fairly limited. Finna sent us mail telling us to find her in town, since she thinks we're clueless. But also, our farm got some serious clutter overnight, and now we do have a stamina bar at the top portion of our screen. I don't think I like how the tutorial didn't show you the information. Everything on the screen right now seems sort of vital to the overall gameplay, so to not have any of it in the tutorial is kind of like putting a blindfold over us and not giving us the full information we'd need. Now we have everything thrown at us upon waking up, and it's a lot. Especially since it wasn't all there before. Also, I'm standing still while typing all of this, and the time in game is passing. There's a lot of houses in town to explore, what they're good for and who lives in them, but more importantly, there is a pirate octopus holding a chest full of treasure, and I need to become friends with them to cash in on that loot. If I can. Otherwise I'm calling Boncho and we're having sushi. I was looking all over for Finna because she said she'd be to the north in town, I could have sworn, but couldn't find her or interact with most of the houses. Turns out she was near the bottom of town, which makes me think maybe the villagers go to different places at different times. It's been a while since I played a farming game like this, so it's going to take me a moment to get back into the swing of things. I do hate how she says I found her as if it were some big chase. She basically tells us what we already know: clean the farm, build decorations, earn cash, check the mailbox, and make our farm a paradise on Earth. Or Quiteria. You know what? After going back to our farm and starting to clean it up, I think it's larger than it was in the tutorial, isn't it? Not to mention everything we made is now gone, which seems a little unfair. We built the forge and a little critter home and beehive, but we're not allowed to keep any of it just because it was a tutorial? We did it all on our own farm. You actually get a surprisingly nice chunk of stamina to use throughout the day, and it does turn dark the later it gets. I think your cutoff time would be midnight, going by the sun and moon diagram, top right. I had another bug where I was going to hoe some land and throw down my seeds, but upon choosing the tool, the entire outline of my farm became highlighted with green, and I couldn't hoe any portion of the farm. Guess I won't be growing anything anytime soon, huh? A wild sheep appeared on my lawn, so I went to craft a forge, but there's 2 of them. And aside from one taking more resources to create, it doesn't tell me anything different about them. Like, come on. Why not replace the first with the upgraded, or have it detail something that it's like a level 2 forge or something? I went ahead and crafted the better forge. I don't think the flufflet will be staying because I don't have the items to build the requirements for staying, but oh well. Time to get our honeycomb back at least. Turns out you can be out after midnight, by the way, so I really don't know when the cutoff time might be, or even if there is one. I went to bed, but was a little confused by the bed icon on the side of the prompt to go to sleep and the choice of next day. Are they both the same thing? Okay, they're not. The bed icon is meant for changing the look of your bed to blue or pink. So yeah, to go to sleep, just choose next day. The next day, I still can't use my hoe for sowing seeds, so I'm just going to end my gameplay review for the demo here. This was a bit of a rough demo to get through, honestly. And I do apologize for not voicing a lot of the lines or stating what they were saying most of the time. I do rely on the visuals of these podcasts more than the audio portion. And I know some people listen to podcasts just for the audio and not visual, so I need to probably keep that in mind. Yeah, this demo needs work. I like the concept. I like what they're going for here, but I don't know, the way Finna looks in the speaking icon, the way she looked on screen were like 2 different characters to me. And then the game-breaking bug, and then all the little bugs, plus not being able to hoe on the farm and plant seeds and all that stuff. That's the main part of the farming game, and I can't do that. I know I could have explored more of the town and spoke to people, but I don't know, after encountering so many bugs and knowing that I couldn't work on my farm like I wanted to, it just killed the mood for me. It killed the gameplay. Hopefully they get everything sorted out in the full game release. God forbid they don't. Now it's a demo, but come on, play test your games, please. Don't rely on gamers to play a demo that you've pushed out in hopes that they're going to give appropriate feedback. Because not everyone is going to play demos. And not everyone reviews demos either. Typically people will review a full game, but yeah. Anyways, that's the end of this podcast episode. This game has just annoyed me slightly. I apologize, but my mood is stinkier than Cosmic Poop right now. So, after saying that, don't get in too much trouble when you say, "Not now, Mom. I'm gaming."